Today we have the supreme privilege and honor to have with us one of a very special personality in our society, one of our pioneer and a very dedicated disciple of Srila Prabhupada. His Holiness Giriraj Swami, who joined our Krishna Consciousness Society in 1969 when he was still a student at the university in Boston. After graduating from there, he accepted formal initiation from Srila Prabhupada and received the name of Giriraj Das and became a leading member of Boston Center. Soon after, he went to India with Srila Prabhupada to help him to establish his mission in India. In 1972, Srila Prabhupada appointed Giriraj Swami as president of SCAN Bombay and trustee of Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. Since then, he has made many significant contributions to Srila Prabhupada's mission, most notably overseeing all kinds of development of Hare Krishna land in Juhu, Bombay. He was instrumental in the acquisition and development of the Bhaktivedanta Ashram in Govardhan and led the development of Kirtan Ashram for women, the Bhaktivedanta Hospice, and the Vrindavan Institute of Palliative Care, all in Vrindavan. Through his effort, Giriraj Maharaj has become renowned for the austerities he has accepted, his loyalty and dedication to Srila Prabhupada's mission, his ability to raise funds and cultivate important members of society, and his care for devotee all around the world. In 1977, Giriraj Swami was awarded the Renounced Order of Life and appointed president of SCAN Board of Trustees in India. In 1982, he was appointed to SCAN Governing Body Commission, and he went on to oversee the society activities in Bombay, Mauritius, South Africa, Spain, Portugal, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan. Giriraj Swami has also taught at the Vrindavan Institute of Higher Education and continues to lecture and to give presentations at Japa retreats and workshops all around the world. Presently based in California, Giriraj Swami is now focusing on one of the personal instructions he received from Srila Prabhupada, and that is to write books. He's the author of Watering the Seed and many more, and is working on several publications, including book about death and dying in Vedic tradition, his search for a spiritual master, and his early days in the Boston Temple. He traveled with Srila Prabhupada in India and Srila Prabhupada monumental effort in Bombay and Vaishnav holidays. We would like to call His Grace Nityananda Prabhu from Mauritius for the Golan, please.
Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances of the district of the state. So on behalf of His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Maharaj and all his disciples and well-wishers, please accept this Golan, Maharaj.
Thank you. I got it all the way in India.
Very cool.
Thank you, Maharaj.
So thank you, Maharaj. And we humbly request you to start today's session. And the topic is the qualities of Lord Nityananda. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So I'll begin by singing the Mangalacharana prayers and leading a short kirtan. And then I will speak about the most merciful Lord Nityananda. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnava Sagratam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Stam Sadevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Harijanath Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sanyavadi Astatadeshatarine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariprajakacharya Stotra Satasi Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariprajakacharya Stotra Satasi Srimad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Glories to Sri Prabhupada. So now, my dear devotees, we shall speak about the merciful Lord Nityananda. We will be speaking about his qualities, but it's also not possible to discuss his qualities without discussing his pastimes also. And I'll begin with some preliminary discussion of the Absolute Truth. According to the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Absolute Truth is realized in three features. Preliminary is Brahman, the impersonal light that emanates from the transcendental form of the Lord. Next is Paramatma, the localized super soul within the hearts of all living entities. And the last word in realization of the Absolute is Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. The Gyanis, who realize the impersonal Brahman, experience only the Sat, eternal aspect of the Absolute Truth. The Yogis, who realize the Paramatma within the heart, experience the eternal Sat and cognizant Chit features of the Absolute Truth. But only the devotees who realize Krishna experience Ananda, bliss, which is the goal and ultimate nature of every living entity. When an interviewer once asked Srila Prabhupada, what is the goal of life? Srila Prabhupada replied, the goal of life is to enjoy. Now, the effort to enjoy materially through the mind and senses leads only to frustration and misery. But spiritually, one can enjoy in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that pleasure, unlike the temporary so-called happiness of the material world, is eternal. And that eternal happiness can be realized through the mercy of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Nitya means eternal, and Ananda means bliss. So if we come in touch with Lord Nityananda, we can realize the eternal bliss for which we are hankering. How do we become eligible for Lord Nityananda's mercy? That we can learn from the description of his qualities and pastimes in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, the most authorized book, biography about the teachings and activities of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda and their associates. There are a number of verses that summarize the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, but one is especially instructive from Adi Lila, chapter 17, the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya in his youth. Text 17. Tabe Sachi Dekila Rama Krishna Dui Bai, Tabe Nistarila Prabhu Jagai Madai. Translation. Thereafter, Mother Sachi Devi saw the brothers Krishna and Balaram in their manifestation of Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda. Then the Lord delivered the two brothers, Jagai and Madhai. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. One night, Sachi Devi dreamt that the deities in her house, Krishna and Balaram, had taken the forms of Chaitanya and Nityananda and were fighting one another, as children do, to eat the Naivedya, or offering to the deities. On the next day, by the will of Lord Chaitanya, Sachi Devi invited Nityananda to take prasad at her house. Thus Vishwambar, Lord Chaitanya, and Nityananda were eating together. And Sachi Devi realized that they were none other than Krishna and Balaram. Seeing this, she fainted. So the story is that Sachi Devi had a dream and told her son Nimai, "Last night I had a wonderful dream, and in this dream you and Nityananda went into my deity room, and you picked up the deity of Balaram, and Nitai picked up the deity of Krishna, and the deities started to protest. You can't take us from the altar. You can't take us out of the deity room." And you and Nityananda replied, "Your days of stealing butter and playing pranks are over. Now you are appearing as Brahmins to chant the holy names." Then they started to fight over Mother Sachi's offerings. And Krishna and Balaram said, "These are meant for us. You can't have them." And Gaur Nitai were saying, "But now you have appeared as us, so we can take them." Mother Sachi asked Lord Chaitanya, "What do you think of this dream?" And Lord Chaitanya said, "This is a very wonderful dream, but don't tell anyone about it." Because he was concealing his identity as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he didn't want to know that anyone to know that he was Krishna and Nityananda was Balaram. Then Lord Chaitanya said, "I would go into the deity room and have Mahaprasad and see that half of it was gone." His wife, Vishnu Priya, was listening to this, and he knew that she was listening. So he said, "When I would see half of the offering was gone, I would suspect that it was Vishnu Priya who took the Mahaprasad. But now I am seeing that these deities are very mystical, and I am suspecting that they themselves might be eating half of the remnants meant for us." He continued, "Anyway, I think tomorrow you should invite Nityananda for lunch." So she did, and as they were having lunch, she saw them transform themselves into Krishna and Balaram, and she fainted. So now we come back to Srila Prabhupada's purport. Jagai and Madhai were two brothers born in Navadvip in a respectable Brahmin family, who later became addicted to all kinds of sinful activities. By the order of Lord Chaitanya, both Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur used to preach the cult of Krishna consciousness door to door. In the course of such preaching, they found Jagai and Madhai, two mad and drunken brothers, who, upon seeing them, began to chase them. The next day, Madai struck Nityananda Prabhu on the head with a piece of earthen pot, thus drawing blood. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard of this, he immediately came to the spot, ready to punish both brothers. But when the all-merciful Lord Gauranga saw Jagai's repentant behavior, he immediately embraced him. By seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face and embracing him, both the sinful brothers were at once cleansed. Thus they received initiation into the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra from the Lord and were delivered. So this is a very important pastime of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, and it is worth considering in detail because it will give us an insight into the actual mission of Gaur Nitai, and through parampara, reciprocal succession, the mission of Srila Prabhupada, and consequently, the mission of his followers. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur to go into Navadvip to approach whomever they met on the way, and go door to door and approach people at home and request them to chant the name of Krishna, to worship Krishna, to accept Krishna as their life and soul and the treasure of their wealth, and not to distinguish between who was qualified and who was not. Many people in Navadvip were pious, and when Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur approached them, they accepted the request, and they all developed pure love for Krishna. One day, as Nityananda and Haridas Thakur were making their way around Navadvip, they saw a large crowd of people watching a spectacle from a distance. When they approached, they saw the two drunken brothers, Jagai and Madai. The townspeople explained, they were born in a respectable Brahmin family, but in their youth they fell into bad association and have engaged in all sorts of sinful, horrible activities. They drink wine, they murder people, they burn down people's houses, they loot and rob and plunder them. They rape women, they eat cow's flesh. There is not a sin they have not committed. They are extremely dangerous, and the whole of Navadvip lives in fear of them. Nityananda Prabhu thought, so far, we have been approaching pious folks, and they've taken up the order of Mahaprabhu and become pure lovers of Krishna. But no one really knows the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. If we can convert Jagai and Madai, then everyone will know the magnitude of Mahaprabhu's mercy. So Nityananda Prabhu, accompanied by Haridas, approached the drunken brothers and delivered the message. Chant Krishna's name, worship Krishna, follow Krishna's instructions, glorify Krishna, and give up your sinful activities. The two were physically powerful, very powerful and very arrogant, and they became enraged. Who are these people to tell us to worship Krishna and give up our activities? They decided to kill Haridas and Nityananda and started to pursue them, shouting, kill them, kill them, kill them. They were running after them, and Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur were running for their lives. While they were fleeing, Nityananda Prabhu said, Haridas, I think this is the end of both of us. This is it. And Haridas replied, I think you are right. Then Nityananda said, but you were caned in 22 marketplaces and Krishna saved you. So why don't you pray to Krishna now to save us? And Haridas said, yes, but at that time, I wasn't associating with a madman like you. You went up to the two biggest demons on the planet and told them to chant Hare Krishna and give up their sinful activities. All the townspeople told us, stay away from them. They are very dangerous, but you didn't listen. Nityananda Prabhu defended himself. You are blaming me, but actually I am not the one to blame. It is your master, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, who is responsible. Never in the history of the world has a Brahmin acted like him, like a king ordering people to go out in the town and approach people, whether they are pious or sinful, and ask them to chant Hare Krishna. I was just following his order, so don't blame me, blame him. And he added, if we don't obey his order, we're finished. And if we do obey his order, we're finished. Like that, they were joking and laughing as they were fleeing for their lives with Jagai and Madhai in hot pursuit. Eventually, Jagai and Madhai, though strong and powerful and angry, could not keep up. They were a little heavy and quite drunk, so eventually they fell behind, and Nityananda and Haridas ran to Mahaprabhu. The Lord had asked them to come to report to him every evening after their preaching, and they told him what had happened. When he asked, who are these Jagai and Madhai? Gangadas Pandit and Srivas Thakur explained, they are most sinful. The whole of Navadvip lives in terror because of them. They kill people, they rape women, they burn down people's houses, they plunder their riches, they drink strong liquor, and they eat cow flesh. Mahaprabhu said, I will kill them. I will cut them to pieces. But Nityananda Prabhu, and this is his extreme mercy, said, no, Lord, don't do that. Don't harm them. In Kali Yuga, our mission is not to kill the demons, but to deliver them. And in Kali Yuga, pretty much everyone will be like Jagai and Madhai. So don't kill them. You give them to me. I will take charge of them. Gauranga Mahaprabhu agreed. All right, I put them in your charge, and because you want to give them mercy, I predict that very soon they will be delivered. While Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was speaking with Nityananda, Haridas Thakur, who was sitting with Advaitacharya, said, you do not know how difficult it is to have a Sankirtan partner who is a madman. He is an avaduta. He goes to people's houses and steals their butter and yogurt. If the householder came out and pursued them, Nityananda Prabhu, who was younger, would be gone, and they would catch Haridas. Sometimes Nityananda would ride on people's bulls and say, I am Mahesh. And sometimes he would milk the cows and drink all the milk. Sometimes he would approach small boys and say, I'm going to beat you. And they would come frightened and run home to their parents. And their fathers would come out with sticks to protect their child. And Nityananda would escape, but they'd catch Haridas. And he would fall at their feet and plead, please, please, it's not what you think. And sometimes Nityananda would go up to innocent young girls and say, I want to marry you. But, Haridas said, and again he's speaking with the Advaitacharya, but Haridas said, the worst was today. Everyone told us to stay away from these drunken demons, and he went right up to them and said, give up your sinful activities, surrender to Krishna and chant Krishna's name. They almost killed us. We barely escaped with our lives. Advaitacharya began to laugh in ecstasy, but with a little anger, and said, "Why are you surprised? It is the nature for drunkards to associate with other drunkards. Nityananda Prabhu is always intoxicated with Krishna prema, prema ras. So it is natural for him to want to associate with other drunkards. But you are a Naistika brahmachari, sober and learned. So why are you associating with those three? You let them associate with each other. Why should you get involved with them?" Then he said, "I know the power of my Nityananda, and you will see within 1 or 2 days, these rogues will be chanting and dancing in kirtan with us." A day or two later, as Nityananda Prabhu was wandering on Navadvip in his playful mood, he again came upon the 2 drunk brothers. And again he approached them and delivered the same message. And again Madhai was enraged. "Who is this person? We almost killed him the other day, and still he is coming back. Who does he think he is?" Then he asked, "Who are you? What is your name?" Nitai replied, "I am Avadut." Avadut, as many of you or all of you might know, means beyond the regulated principles. Nitai replied, "I am Avadut," and that was it. Madai picked up a clay pot, and with all of his immense strength, he smashed the head of Nityananda Prabhu and cut a big gash. Blood covered Nitai's face and gradually his whole body. "I don't mind that you struck me," he told Madai. "But what really pains me is how much you are suffering in ignorance. Please accept the mercy of Gauranga Mahaprabhu and you'll be happy." That infuriated Madai even more. So he picked up another pot, wanting to kill Nitai. He was ready to smash him, but Jagai intervened and said, "Stop it. Can't you see that this is a genuine saintly person? That he actually has love for you and feels compassion for you? He is trying to help you. What will you gain by killing such an innocent soul?" Meanwhile, the news of Madai's attack reached Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he rushed to the scene, as Prabhupada said, angry as fire, and immediately called for his Sudarshan chakra to kill them. The chakra came like the blazing sun, but Nityananda Prabhu intervened. "Lord, don't kill them," he beseeched Mahaprabhu. "I am going to," Lord Chaitanya replied. "They have harmed my Nitai and I'm going to kill them." Still, Nityananda said, "But Jagai saved me. Madai was wanting to kill me, but Jagai stopped him. He saved my life." When Mahaprabhu heard that, his heart melted and the chakra immediately disappeared. He embraced Jagai and said, "You have saved my Nitai. You have saved my Nitai. I forgive you for all that you have done." After embracing him, he manifested a four-armed form with the symbols of Vishnu, the club, disc, lotus, and conch, placed his lotus foot on the heart of Jagai, and filled him with ecstatic love for Krishna. And Jagai was weeping in ecstasy. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu turned his attention back to Madai. He was still angry and ready to kill him. But Madai's heart had also changed. The Chaitanya Bhagavat describes that the two of them, Jagai and Madai, were so close they were like one soul in two bodies. So by Jagai's heart changing, Madai's heart also changed. And of course, he didn't want to be killed. So he said, "You have given mercy to Jagai but we are together. We've done everything together. Whenever we plundered someone's house, we did it together. Whenever I burned down someone's house, he was with me. Whenever I drank liquor, he was with me. Whenever I ate cow's flesh, he was with me. We did everything together. So why are you giving him mercy and not me? You should give me mercy too. Mahaprabhu replied, no, I will not give you mercy because you have hurt my Nitai. Madai said, we've read in scriptures that so many demons attacked you with weapons and you delivered them all. So you should deliver me too. And Mahaprabhu replied, no, I will not deliver you. Nityananda's body is more dear to me than my own. Those demons attacked my body and I delivered them. But you attacked Nitai's body, which is more dear to me. I will not forgive you. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was poised to kill Madai, and Madai pleaded for mercy. Then Mahaprabhu showed the way. You beg for Nitai's mercy. If he gives you mercy, then I will spare you. So Madai prayed to Nityananda Prabhu, and Mahaprabhu told Nitai, if you actually forgive him, then you should embrace him. And Nityananda, his whole body still covered with blood, picked up Madai, who had prostrated himself, and embraced him. That is how merciful Nityananda Prabhu is. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, all right, I will spare you. Nitai said, now I give him to you. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave Madai Prema Bhakti. This is inconceivable. He gave him something that Lord Brahma doesn't have. He gave him something that great rishis and sages and devas are endeavoring to get. He gave it to Madai and Jagai, and they were the most horrible, sinful reprobates. So all that Nitai wanted came true. Later, back at Mahaprabhu's house, the devotees had Sankirtan, and Mahaprabhu said that all of Nitai's desires would come true. Nitai was thinking, if these two demons, the worst on the planet, could receive Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, then my traveling everywhere and preaching will be successful. He thought, if I can convert these two demons to accept the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and I can actually consider myself a servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And if these two demons chant and dance in ecstasy with the Vaishnavas, I consider that my name, Nityananda, has value and is true. There was a big festival of Kirtan, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, don't any of you think that Jagai and Madai are sinful. I will accept their sinful reactions. Just watch. And as Gauranga, in his beautiful golden form, began to accept their sinful reactions, his body turned black. What do you see? What do I look like? He asked Advaitacharya. I see Sham Sundar, Advaita replied. Gaur Sundar has become Sham Sundar. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, now how will I get free from these sinful reactions? It will be through Harinam Sankirtan. So all of you do Harinam Sankirtan, and I will be relieved of these sinful reactions. But then where will the sinful reactions go? My dear devotees, please pay close attention to this answer. So, all of you do Harinam Sankirtan, and I will be relieved of these sinful reactions. But then where will the sinful reactions go? Into the hearts of those who blaspheme Vaishnavas, who criticize devotees. So, my dear devotees, we should be very careful about blaspheming Vaishnavas. So, they had ecstatic kirtan, and Mahaprabhu with his black form was dancing in ecstasy, and gradually the black went away. His form became lighter, and he resumed his original beautiful, fair Gauranga golden hue. Anyway, after that, Jagai and Madhai, especially Madhai, were very repentant. And Nityananda Prabhu tried to pacify them, and he gave them advice how they could become freed from their lamentation. So to conclude, I will quote one of my favorite statements by Srila Prabhupada. He said, to approach Radha and Krishna, you need the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And to get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, you need the mercy of Lord Nityananda. And to get the mercy of Lord Nityananda, you have to approach people like Jagai and Madhai. So if we ever feel, oh, I'm too high, I'm too holy, I can't approach these people, we should think of that instruction and Srila Prabhupada's own example and Nityananda Prabhu's example and really pray, beg to be humble instruments of their love and mercy and compassion. As Srila Prabhupada's Guru Maharaj told him, that will be good for you and good for the people who hear you. So, my dear devotees, it was a great honor and pleasure and privilege to be with all of you on this auspicious occasion to discuss the glorious qualities of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. And now I believe, according to the schedule, we have some time for questions and answers. A little time for questions and answers.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you so much for this wonderful talk. Yes, we can. If anyone has any question, you can raise your virtual hand, please. And in the meanwhile, we already have one question in the chat box, which I will read it out so that Maharaj, you can give an answer.
Okay.
It will be in the chat box as well. So question one is, in Chaitanya Lila, we see that everybody is transformed so immediately, almost instantly. But when we see our current situation or ourselves, it seems to be very slow process, very, very slow process. Why?
I'm sorry, I missed the last part of the question.
Yeah, sorry, just repeat it, Maharaj. In Chaitanya Lila, we see that everybody is transformed so immediately, almost instantly being transformed. But when we see our current situation or ourselves, it seems to be very slow progress. Why is that case?
You know, there is, Srila Prabhupada gave one talk in Australia, and a devotee in the audience asked him how long it takes to become Krishna conscious. And Srila Prabhupada replied, 1 moment. It can take 1 moment if you're ready. So, yes, it's true. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu were extremely powerful and also extremely merciful. And but even if we take Jagai and Madhai, it wasn't really immediate. I mean, it took a few days before they were actually delivered and converted. But we should, you know, do the best we can. Yeah, and depend on the mercy of Gaura and Srila Prabhupada and the Parampara. And we should be patient. The Upadeshamrita, the nectar of instruction, enumerates 6 items that are necessary for the successful execution of devotional service, beginning with Utsaha Nischayat Daryat. And Utsaha means enthusiasm. Daryat means confidence, and Utsaha Nischayat. Nischayat means confidence, and Daryat means patience. So we need both enthusiasm and patience. Srila Prabhupada said, enthusiasm without patience can lead to a desire to control. And patience without enthusiasm can lead to lethargy. So it seems that you're, I'm just judging from the question, but it seems that you're enthusiastic, but you might not be patient enough. So be patient, and you will be delivered by the grace of Srila Prabhupada and Sri Sri Gaura, just like Jagai and Madhai.
Very cool. Thank you so much for this wonderful answer, Maharaj. Can we take one more question?
Sure.
Do we have time? Yes. So we have His Grace Jayananda Prabhu, who has raised his virtual hand. We invite him to ask his question. Jayananda Prabhu, thank you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
You mentioned that when Jagai and Madai were delivered, then they were lamenting, they were repenting, and then they were given advice how to get rid of that lamentation. So what was the advice, Maharaj?
Yes, that's a good question. I didn't want to prolong the discussion too much, but it's important. So I'll explain that. So all the Vaishnavas accepted Jagai and Madhai, but especially Madhai felt guilty because he had tried to kill Nityananda Prabhu, who was the cause of his deliverance. He was very sad. Nityananda Prabhu could see this and inquired, "You've been liberated. You've been given prema bhakti. Why are you so sad? Don't be sad." Madhai replied, "When I think that I tried to kill you, I feel terrible. I just cannot forgive myself." Nityananda told him, "I accept you like my son. Sometimes a child will hit the parent, but the parent doesn't take it seriously. I forgive you." Madhai said, "But what about all the other people I wronged and caused pain to? I was so intoxicated, I don't even know who they are. I don't even know how to ask them to forgive me. I hurt so many." And Nityananda Prabhu said, "You should make a ghat, a bathing ghat at the Ganges, a very beautiful ghat, with your own hand. And when people come to take bath, you prostrate yourself before them and ask them to forgive you. And serve whoever comes in a menial way. Being close to the Ganges, you will be purified." So Madhai did that. And when people saw how humble he and his brother had become, their hearts melted, and they gave them all affection and respect. But there were some people who were still angry, who had been so hurt by the brothers, by Madai in particular. And seeing him in that humble position, they would take up a stone and throw it at his head. Madai now was so meek, however, that he would pick up the stone and return it to them, saying, "I'm so sinful. I have caused so much pain to others. Once is not enough. You should hit me again." And then even the people who were the most upset and angry had to forgive him and embrace him. So that is the mercy of Gaur Nitai. And that was all that Nityananda Prabhu wanted came to pass.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Krishna. Thank you so much, Maharaj. We are coming. We're coming towards the end of our session. We would really like to thank you for this wonderful talk, and especially for the important point that you made on simple reaction. And the key success in our spiritual life is to be patient and also to keep on being enthusiastic and being patient. And Maharaj, we see the opportunity to express our sincere gratitude for your priceless contribution in our Western society, and we pray to be always following on your footsteps. And thank you so much for being with us this evening.
Thank you. Thank you. So if we're ending this session now, I suggest we conclude with Vaishnava Pranam.
Yeah.
But you're going on to another speaker? Okay, that's
not really a speaker, but we still have some time, Maharaj. I mean,
we have, well, Kamala Sundari. Wait. Kamala Sundari wanted to ask a question. So if we have a little time, maybe we can let her ask her question, and then we can offer Vaishnava.
Yes, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada in your divine grace. Guru Maharaj, my question was about Harinam Sankirtan, and this process is so simple that we have to just go on Harinam Sankirtan to get Lord Nityananda's mercy. But I wanted to know, like, when we go on Harinam Sankirtan, how do we know that we're receiving this mercy? How do we know that we're actually pleasing the Lord?
Well, when we go on Harinam Sankirtan, we should, as with any chanting, we should try to hear the holy name. Of course, it's good that we go on Harinam Sankirtan, but we should also be attentive to the holy name while we are chanting on the Harinam Sankirtan. And if we are attentive, if we absorb ourselves in the transcendental sound vibration of the holy names during the Harinam Sankirtan, then not only will Lord Nityananda be pleased, but we will be able to feel the reciprocation from him and from the holy name and from Srila Prabhupada and the Parampara. So yeah, it's not automatic, but we're putting ourselves in a position where we can receive Lord Nityananda's mercy if we do it properly. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you so much, Maharaj. So what I wanted to say is that this is the first part of the program with you as our first main speaker. So we would Thank you. If Gurudev would like to say a few words.
All obeisances to His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj for a beautiful nectarian explanation on Nityananda. And it is shower for the soul, and we cannot thank enough for this beautiful rendition of how we should take shape to learn Nityananda Prabhu. Thank you very much, Maharaj, for this beautiful narration.
Well, thank you for your kind and encouraging words. It is a pleasure to serve you and your devotees always.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. We are praying to have you again and again on our online event. Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Krishna.